Tonight on the National Rundown, Israel withdraws troops from the southern Gaza just before talks of a potential ceasefire. President Biden announces new plans to deliver student relief debt, and more news on the death of O.J. Simpson, legendary football player and actor. Stay with us.
The clouds and the rain will be moving into our weekend, but not to worry, we have a week full of high temperatures and sunshine coming up. Stick around for the rundown.
Open up your books to page 360.
Did you just look at your phone while you was in class? You played yourself.
Talking about inspirational quotes.
You gotta believe in yourself. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Louise, can you give me an example of an inspirational quote?
Don't play yourself. The key is to make it.
And who said that?
I did. Now that's a major key alert.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at getschool.com.
Welcome to the National Rundown. Israel withdraws troops from southern Gaza, leaving just one brigade left. This was just before Israel and Hamas sent teams of messengers to Egypt for fresh talks of a potential ceasefire in the 6-month conflict. The number of soldiers in Gaza has been decreasing since the start of the year. Details have not been given as to why the soldiers were withdrawn. However, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said that his troops are preparing to further operations in Gaza. President Biden announces new plans to deliver student debt relief to over 30 million Americans. Since day one, Biden has worked to fix the student loan system and make sure higher education is a ticket to the middle class and not a barrier. He says the debt cancellation is beneficial to the entire economy and is vowing to use every tool available to cancel student debt for as many borrowers as possible and as quickly as possible. The clock is ticking in Minnesota. In just weeks, Lyft and Uber say they'll leave town. A pay raise for drivers in Minneapolis is a sticking point. The rideshare showdown is now moving from the city council to the Capitol. Caroline Cummings has the latest on where things stand with a statewide plan.
In St. Paul, the ordinance regulating rideshare companies next door in Minneapolis is top of mind.
This is a crisis of choosing. This isn't in response to a natural disaster. The Democrats chose to create this crisis. We're just here to help them clean it up.
House Republicans Thursday evening are planning a motion to suspend the rules on the House floor and force a vote on their bill that would override the Minneapolis ordinance, whose requirements and minimum pay rates are driving Uber and Lyft out of the city and creating ripple effects beyond its borders.
Governor Walz, Majority Leader, the Democrats here in this state, Minnesotans are actually counting on you to step up and make sure that this actually gets fixed.
There's also a bill being discussed setting statewide rules for rideshare companies. House Majority Leader Jamie Long says Democrats are working hard on a solution with the city, so both policies are aligned.
I think we're making really good progress. We've been working with Uber and Lyft through the bill language, been working with the city of Minneapolis as well and trying to find a path forward to agreement. So I'm confident we can by the end of session.
But the countdown is on to May 1st when the ordinance takes effect and lawmakers won't wrap up until weeks later. The city council could reconsider its decision during a meeting next week.
I'd certainly love if the city council gave us more time.
They could do that.
They certainly could.
I respect the fact that the Democrats have created this crisis and they think they can solve it themselves. Just understand that for the DFL caucus, this is a flesh-eating disease on their political future.
Caroline Cummings, WCCO News.
The parents of a teenager who killed 4 students in a 2021 school shooting were each sentenced to 10 to 15 years in prison. James and Jennifer Crumley were sentenced weeks after being convicted of manslaughter. They are the first parents to be held criminally responsible for a mass school shooting committed by their child. They will receive credit for the 858 days already served. Coming up after the break, more details on the death of O.J. Simpson.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
O.J. Simpson, football player and actor brought down by his murder trial, dies at 76. The family announced on Simpson's official X account that he died Wednesday of prostate cancer. He died in Las Vegas. Simpson earned fame through football and show business, but his legacy was forever changed the June 1994 murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman in Los Angeles. He was later found liable for the deaths in a civil case and then served 9 years in prison on unrelated charges. Now, Jared is here to talk about the latest developments on a well-known celebrity's case. So, Jared, I understand that there is a recent development about an ongoing criminal case involving a celebrity.
Yes, that is right. Alec Baldwin, known for his roles on 30 Rock and Saturday Night Live, is involved in an ongoing investigation about a shooting that took place on the set for the film Rust in 2021. Cinematographer Helena Hutchins was shot and killed when a gun that Alec Baldwin was holding was fired with a live bullet inside. In March of this year, the person in charge of handling ammunition on set was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And because Baldwin was holding the gun when it went off, he is also awaiting trial on a manslaughter charge in which he has pleaded not guilty.
Wow, so what are the recent developments to this case?
So on Monday, a public filing was released, where the prosecutor, Carrie Morrissey, alleges that Baldwin was unable to control his anger on set, and therefore affected the safety of the set. It is alleged that he would shout and swear, as well as disrupt with no regard to how his behavior was affecting the people around him. The prosecutor states they have witnesses that will testify that Baldwin's behavior made the set unsafe. In addition, the records state that Baldwin claims he pulled the hammer on the gun, but not the trigger. The prosecution feels that Baldwin is being inconsistent with his statements and potentially lying about the facts.
Wow, so when is Alec Baldwin set to go on trial?
His trial is set to begin in July. Until then, Baldwin plans to continue to try to get the case thrown out. As for the prosecution, they accuse Baldwin and his legal team of personal attacks against them. In addition, it will continue to be a bitter legal battle, one that centers around the death of a respected cinematographer.
Wow, well, thank you so much, Jared.
Not a problem.
Several rioters from January 6 get early releases from prison sentences. The decision comes as the Supreme Court prepares the reveal of the legality of a federal charge used to put them in prison, involving how prosecutors distinguish between obstruction and official proceeding and lesser charges that could have resulted in shorter sentences. Federal regulators investigate a whistleblower's claims of the flaws in the Boeing 787 Dreamliner. Sam Sulphur warned about how the plane's fuselage was assembled, reporting that shortcuts were taken that could cause the structure to fall apart mid-flight. The FAA confirmed that they are looking into the matter further, but would not comment past that. After the break, we have details on a, quote, wrongful death Tesla statement. Settle. Got a quarter?
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Tesla settles a lawsuit brought by the family of a man who died while relying on the company's self-driving feature. Walter Huang died after crashing into a concrete barrier on the highway in 2018, reportedly while playing a video game with the car on autopilot. The amount of the settlement has not been disclosed, and representatives from Tesla say they made the decision to avoid years of litigation. Now over to Abigail with the sports.
As the Summer Olympics close in, some track and field athletes will be receiving more than just a medal this year. World Athletics, the international governing body for sports of athletics, are set to introduce $50,000 in prize money for gold medalists in the 48 different events that will be held at the Paris Games. Plans have also been made to expand payments to silver and bronze medalists at the 2028 Olympics. The International Olympic Committee was only made aware of the development on Wednesday morning. The committee says that it is up to each sport to decide how to use money allocated to them. The National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics has issued a new policy that bans transgender athletes from college sports almost entirely. A 20-0 vote, the council presidents, which oversees 83,000 students across the country, decided that all athletes can participate in male sports, but only those assigned female at birth who have not begun hormone therapy can participate in women's sports. Students who have begun hormone therapy may participate in practices and workouts, but not interscholastic competitions. MLB pitchers are experiencing an uptick in injuries, but players and the league are blaming different factors. Spencer Stride of the Atlanta Braves and Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Guardians were both injured earlier this season. Some of these injuries have been severe enough to require elbow surgery. Players have been saying that the cause of the increase is the newly reduced pitch clock, causing athletes to rush their pitches. Experts and the league argue that the cause is the amount of velocity and spin put into pitches instead. Women's basketball is a slam dunk on TV, with record-breaking ratings on ESPN. The women's college matchup between Iowa and LSU averaged 12.3 million viewers, making it the most watched college basketball game and largest audience of any basketball game in ESPN history. Back to the desk.
Now we turn to Allison with the weather. The fourth largest Powerball jackpot ever is hauled in Oregon. The winning ticket is $1.3 billion and was sold at a plaid pantry in Portland. This is not the first time a winning ticket from before a big cash prize was sold at a Plaid pantry. Last summer, a store owner from the state sold a ticket for 3.3 million megabucks. Now let's check in with Allison, who has our 5-day forecast.
Welcome to the Weather Rundown. I'm Allison Cassidy. Today was not a great spring day. We had a lot of rain and clouds moving through with a high of 73 and a low of 54. This is going to be the trend for the end of our week, unfortunately, with the rain and clouds persisting into Friday with a high of 67 and a low of 53. The clouds continue to power through into Saturday with a high of 60 and a low of 47, with some wind starting to kick in a bit. But don't worry, the rest of the week is going to be just fine. Sunday we have a high of 72 with a low of 43. The sun's starting to peek through those clouds a little bit, as we love to see. Monday we have the sun full force and a high of 76 degrees, the best yet, and a low of 57. Tuesday, we continue to see those temperatures rise as a high of 79 makes its way through with a low of 52, with the clouds making their way in, but the sun still powering in for our spring weather. Let's head back to the desk to see our stories. As we can see, the clouds and the rain were very persistent today in Glassboro. The clouds were kind of hiding that sun from us, and we will continue to see that going into our weekend. However, as we know, we have some warm temperatures and sun coming in for next week. Bert and I can't wait.
Same here.
I'm so excited. Ready to get gardening. It's almost gardening season.
Absolutely.
Cannot wait.
Yes, I'm ready for that warm weather. See the sun. It's for the best.
We need it.
Definitely. And that wraps up tonight's newscast. Have a good night.